You're listening to the Telltale Channel. In this podcast, Kat Kerr is delusional. I watched a live stream of her recently, and she busted out absolute insanity about drinking baby blood and communism and all kinds of crazy stuff. In this live stream, Kat Kerr fawned over Trump. I mean, it was over the top, even for her. It became comical. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been selected to work within the Trump administration. Let's talk about some of the views he's espoused in the past. Spoiler alert, they are insane. Nick Fuentes went viral recently for saying, "Your body, my choice." Well, he's in the find out phase of fuck around and find out. Somebody showed up to his door after he was doxed, and he pepper sprayed them. Let's talk about it. Kenneth Copeland says he stopped COVID-19 by praying it away. Seriously, he really believes all that weird shit he did years ago stopped COVID. I love it. If you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, don't forget to check out my Patreon. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. This is Kat Kerr on the right, weather warrior, self-proclaimed weather warrior, prophet of Trump. And man, she just goes all in for Donald Trump. It's wild. This is the day of the election, by the way. So it's like 2 p.m. on election day or something. They didn't realize Trump was going to win, but, you know, she prophesized it, of course, and prophesized all kinds of other stuff. Just give this a listen.
Yeah. The other thing they've been doing all along is they make criminal laws legal.
She didn't define they, by the way, but she means Democrats, of course.
I don't know how else to put it. They'll take crimes and make them legally okay. And yet they'll take innocent.
They. Notice this? She's sticking it in there everywhere. Who is they? Who is it that's making crime legal? Who is it that's, and I'm not even joking, I'm not being hyperbolic here, sticking straws in babies like they're a Capri Sun and drinking their blood? Who is doing that? Who is they in that scenario? Like, she just says it. She just says they and assumes everybody knows who she's talking about here. Me and you, in all seriousness.
They'll take crimes and make them legally okay. And yet they'll take innocent people, just innocent people, have been thrown into prison.
Who? She's probably talking about the January 6th people. Kat, bad news for you. They weren't innocent. They were violent offenders, most of them. The ones that were not violent but are still in prison are the ones that planned it, like the Proud Boys leader and stuff. So.
And in jail. With made up things. Of course, they're really good at lying, but hey, they serve the father of lies, right?
They, again.
And so these courts, and God's going to judge these judges and all these people, these wicked people running these courts are being empowered. They've sold out to the wicked and the evil. They've been unjustly putting people in jail and in prison that are innocent people.
Who is going to jail? I mean, let's just pretend for a second she's not talking about the January 6th people. Who is going to jail? Who is not supposed to go to jail? That's for political reasons. Who on Kat Kerr's side is going to jail for their religion or for their support of Trump? I'll take like any name.
Even Trump is innocent of all the stuff. Could you imagine having one person doing the kind of crimes they have made up about him?
I love it, dude. You catching this? Oh my God, I love it.
Innocent of all the stuff. Could you imagine having one person doing the kind of crimes they have made up about him? Yeah. And they want to put him, they're so terrified of him.
That's so funny. I love that. She's like, this close to self-awareness. Yeah, I can imagine if one person did all those crimes, actually. Oh my God, the delusion is strong with her. Check out like a couple other clips I caught throughout this live stream.
He doesn't want to be Pastor Trump. Yeah, we need him to be that leader of this country and do what God made him to do.
What God made him to do. She's saying that he's a prophet or a Messiah. She believes that. She believes that he is a Messiah. And I could prove it, but I don't want to go down that road right now. I talked about the Trump theology on my main channel recently. Just check that one out if you're curious.
No, he doesn't. And I know people shout, you're the greatest person in the world. I've actually heard him say this, but you're the greatest person in existence right now. And he'll say in the microphone, no, I'm not.
Donald Trump? We're talking about the same guy? You're telling me you have heard somebody yell out to Trump, you're the greatest person in the world, And he responds, "No, I'm not." I don't believe you. I'm going to need video evidence on that one.
No, I'm not.
That's good.
I'm not the greatest person in the world. And they'll yell, well, who is he? He'll say, he is Jesus Christ, the Son of the living God.
She can't just leave it at that. She has to make it even more insane. Of course he hasn't said that. I'm not even convinced the dude's a Christian, truthfully. I think he's a Trumpin or a Trumple. He's all about himself. That's it. You know, I was thinking about this earlier, like, it's kind of a psychological thought experiment or whatever, where people say nuclear weapons destroy things completely. They have the potential to destroy the planet. So the president should have to dig the button out of his best friend's chest to launch a nuclear weapon. And I got to thinking, who is Trump's best friend? It's him. He is his best friend. Seriously, who else? I don't think, does he have a best friend? I don't think he does. He just uses people. God, and the view that she has of him is nothing short of delusional. Like, I don't know what other word to use here.
Love it.
He is over all. And he knows that. He knows that. That irritates and terrifies the wicked.
Now, us. We are the wicked in her mind. That irritates and terrifies us. Now, what is it that irritates and terrifies me?
And he knows that. He knows that.
He knows that Jesus is king, is what you're telling me?
That irritates and terrifies the wicked. It makes him more wicked. Now he's got God. It's even worse.
But he doesn't have God, is the thing, Kat. Look, I can't believe somebody is arguing that Trump is like this hardcore Jesus lover or something. This is wild.
No, it's better. So I just know the things that are going to happen will be justice, liberty, and freedom.
Oh, she wants justice, liberty, and freedom. Okay, put a pin in that. We'll come back to it.
Write it down somewhere. Write it down. It's
I will.
going to happen. Justice, liberty, and freedom is coming. All those who have stolen the office that they're sitting in will be taken away. Some they'll be tried for criminal acts, traitorism. You know,
traitorism. That's a new one.
They became traitors to this country.
You mean treason?
They came against everything the country stands for. They should have found another country they wanted to go to that was already in that position.
Yeah, Democrats should have gone to a different country. Jesus Christ, dude. Okay, so she told us that she stands for liberty, justice, and freedom, right? Let's just listen to a little more of this.
You have no power in you. If you think you're fighting us, you are fighting God himself, and you won't win. You're already losers because you chose death. God said, this day I offer you life and death. Choose life. Well, you wicked, evil people, Democrats, I hope you're still leaving that party. You shouldn't want to be a part of what they're planning.
So you are a wicked, evil person if you're still in the Democratic Party. Holy shit.
You won't have a place to live either.
You won't have a place to live.
They want your land, your money, your buildings. They want your family. They want your children.
Who is they?
They want what Satan wants. Don't stand with them. You don't want to go down in history as being one of the worst people on the earth. What kind of a thing is that to leave for your family? For
God, the irony is just off the charts. You don't want to go down in history as being a terrible person. What kind of legacy is that to leave your kids? Oh my God, dude. Is anything gonna penetrate that thick skull of hers?
One of the worst people on the earth. What kind of a thing is that to leave for your family, for your children, for your grandchildren? Yeah. You won't have a legacy because you won't be here. Satan does not care about you. He is using you. And when he's done, he'll kill you and take you to hell. And Hitler is still on a meat hook in hell.
Wow, that went from 0 to 100 pretty quickly. Actually, I guess it went from 90 to 100. She's screaming at people right now. She's screaming at us, of course, as Democrats, quote unquote, or democrats or whatever the hell, demon rats. I don't know what they're calling us nowadays. Like anybody who is to the left of pushing the policy of hunting the homeless for sport. Anybody to the left of that is a demon rat, I guess, in their mind.
Hell.
I mean, you literally saw that.
Taking over Germany, he also had that same spirit in him. He wanted the world. Did he get it? No. He didn't get it, and you won't get it either.
She's talking to us, of course, because we want the world, you see. But we won't get the world because just as, because we're acting like Hitler right now, you see, on the left. And Hitler tried to take the world and he failed, so we're going to fail too. Wow, dude. She's gone. Is there anything knocking around up there? Anything?
God is in charge of this world. We, the believers, we have authority to speak into the realm. We're kings and priests unto our God. That is a spiritual level of authority and dominion. And you won't get past them, let alone the people in the mountains. You start after them and they'll shoot your eye out 500 yards away.
Why would she even bring that up? What is she talking about? She thinks that I'm coming for her or something? Who is coming for these mountain people or whatever the hell? What does she think we're going to their house to do? I don't understand. To what? Pet their cats? Like, what does she think we're going to their house to do?
This is from God himself.
Oh, God said this, you see. Okay. Because God, he wouldn't smite you if you come after the mountain people. He would let them smite you because that's definitely his way because he loves murder, you see.
They'll never get them. They'll never be able to find them.
I don't why? Why would anybody try? What are you talking about? She lives in a delusion. I'm telling you, this is not normal. Yeah, I have a brother with what is effectively schizophrenia. It's more complicated than that, but I've seen delusion. Delusion is a medical term and doesn't apply to just everything. Delusion is holding false beliefs or judgments about external reality that are held despite incontrovertible evidence to the contrary, typically as a symptom of a mental condition. That's the only thing that qualifier at the end that makes this not a delusion technically, because this isn't a symptom of a mental condition. There are a ton of MAGA nutcases that believe all this stuff about like Democrats coming for your kids and drinking baby blood and all this other crazy stuff. And it's not mental illness that's causing this. It's just a strongly held belief, but it is indistinguishable from mental illness at this point. This is nuts.
And if I were you, I'd drop that whole thing because your little gizmo you got where you're destroying parts of America everywhere.
Gizmo? What are we talking about? There's a gizmo. Somebody has a gizmo that they press a button and it destroys America. I'm missing lore here, and I am desperate to know what it is.
Destroying parts of America everywhere. It's going to fall back on you. I would not want to be a part of the garbage and the trash and the evil and the hate and the wickedness. You belong to Satan. He's probably getting your meat hook ready in hell with your name on it.
That's psychotic. I'm sorry. That is absolutely psychotic. So she's saying that your punishment for being free thinkers, for not following her exact trajectory, is to effectively live in a situation where you're being tortured in the same way that the Nazis tortured people. That's crazy.
Wow.
Oh, whoa. That was the end, I guess. Whoa. You gotta love this guy. People call him Mr. Blobfish. Blobfish don't look like that when they're in the ocean. They look like that because when they come up, it's all depressurized and it just makes a mess out of them. It's actually really sad to find a blobfish that's a total mess like that. So, it's because it got all messed up and it's definitely going to die now. But this is what it looks like when it's in the ocean. It's actually really pretty. Like a really, really pretty fish normally, But that's him, right? That's him. Dead ringer.
And what they're doing is illegal, literally illegal, like traitors to
Again, like, who is they?
this country, and they're usually shot. I'm just going to...
Earl Zettelmeyer got my copy of Was Hitler an Atheist? Wow, that's awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. The book I just read, check it out. Amazon and Audible, owenmorgan.com for signed copies. You can find it there. Great, factful historical read. Well, I appreciate it. I'm glad you like it.
Literally illegal, like traitors to this country, and they're usually shot. I'm just going to be blunt. You want me to be blunt?
Yeah, as much as you want.
She's saying she wants Democrats to be shot.
Stay, be as blunt
God
as
has
you want.
adamantly told me some of them will not live through this. He's talking about the left, the illegal, not the illegal aliens. I'm talking about the ones who are trying to run this.
Some of them aren't going to live through this. What she's saying is she believes that Trump is going to win the election, and when he wins, he is going to act as the blade of God to cut down his political opponents and kill them. All this talk about Hitler on a meat hook and everything, she's literally describing what Hitler did. I don't know how to make this any clearer. Like, how did she get to this point where she is advocating for Hitler's strategies and it's just going right over her head?
They want this world, but this is what they say. This is what the left says. When we get America, we get the world.
The left says that? I have never in my life ever heard anybody say that. Like they're trying to get the world and they're getting America by doing so. Or I'm sorry, like they're trying to get America and then get the world out. Like, what are you talking about? Like some kind of a world domination thing?
People that have been so wicked that I believe personally inside that they forfeited their right to life.
Holy shit, bro. This is getting crazier by the second. They're talking about killing people on the left, bro.
And of course, God is in charge of all life, but there are some people that are so wicked that I want, if I heard that they were going to be before a firing squad, I wouldn't rejoice.
Sounds like he would rejoice.
But I would say, Lord, thank you.
You see that eating grin on her face right there? You see that smile? She's smiling while he describes putting people who are on the left in front of a firing squad. Where are their heads? How did they get here?
Stop it. Get some help.
Absolutely nuts.
But I would say, Lord, thank you for removing them from the earth. What's it okay to feel like?
I can tell you right now, Steve, there's a lot of people who would rejoice.
Yeah.
Really?
Her included, presumably, right? Is that what she's implying here? She would rejoice because she's looking to the side, all shifty-eyed, laughing. And of course, she's sin-free in her head. So the fact that she says that she very heavily implied that she fantasizes about people on the left standing in front of a firing squad. The fact that she implied that and also simultaneously believes that she is sin-free means that she thinks that God has sanctioned the killing of the left. Like, our lives are forfeit in her mind.
Yes, I mean
There was some scripture I'd seen once.
Cities, they've destroyed whole cities already.
Yeah.
What city are you talking about? And did you catch that, him coming in at the end trying to say, well, there's a biblical justification against this.
Scripture I'd seen once.
Cities, they've destroyed whole cities already.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
That's true.
That's true. Oh my God, guys, get your head out of your, please. Anyway, I said that she claims that she does not sin. This is the clip. This is October 15th, 2022.
It isn't that hard to not sin.
It isn't that hard to not sin.
I live sin-free. You'd be surprised how many people want to argue about that.
It's because theologically Jesus is the only sin-free person.
Well, why are you arguing? What's in your soul? Who cares about your wallet? What's in your soul? If you had what's right in your soul, your wallet would be full already, people.
Get help, for real.
Stop it. Get some help.
That's crazy. And you know what's even crazier? She is filthy rich. I mean, she is really famous and really influential and really rich. She has a personal assistant that does her hair for her every day. That's another thing we learned in this live stream that she did. I mean, this is some wild shit right here. Anyway, yeah, let me know what you think about it in the comments. She really needs to get some help, for real.
Stop it. Get some help.
Next up, Kenneth Copeland says he stopped COVID-19 by praying it away. Seriously, he really believes all that weird shit he did years ago stopped COVID. I love it. We'll be right back. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. Kenneth Copeland has been making some wild statements, as usual. He just claimed a W for stopping COVID. Seriously. Listen to what he had to say here. This one is from mid-November 2024.
Now, when COVID-19 hit, Ministers' Conference, 2019.
Okay, I mean, it didn't really hit until 2020. Not the U.S., I mean. Not really. I mean, we didn't start taking it seriously until like February or March. What Ministers' Conference are you talking about?
Ministers' Conference, 2019. I was on the front row of the Ministers' Conference, and I began to chill. And
Wait, is he saying he had COVID?
began.
Dude, why does his face look like this? Somebody please tell me, I need to know. Why did he do this to himself? I imagine this is plastic surgery, right? He's like 80, isn't he? He should have way more wrinkles in this. How old is Copeland anyway? I'm sorry, I'm getting sidetracked here. 87, dude, he's 87. That's crazy. Dude is 87 years old and he's got like 2 little wrinkles. He's got fewer wrinkles than I do. Okay, go on. No, that's just how Siths look as they age. That checks out.
And began to hurt around behind my eyes. I was sitting right there on the front row, and so if you were about where Cynthia is, next to me, you might have heard me say that. But I said, "You can't put that on me."
Yeah, I don't think that anybody really knew about COVID at this point. He almost certainly would have just assumed that it was just a cold or something. In 2019. I mean, the first recorded case of COVID in the United States wasn't until 2020, was it? Yeah, it was January 20th, 2020, so I don't know what he's talking about.
You know you can't put that on me. I resist you in the name of Jesus. Now get.
That's right.
About 15 minutes, it was gone.
He prayed COVID away. He had COVID and he prayed it away. Wow. Absolutely ridiculous. But this is like by no means the only example of him trying to pray COVID away. In fact, if it wasn't so sad, it would be comical. It got to that point a while back. Check this clip out. I don't know if you guys remember this one. This one is from late March 2021. So basically like a year into COVID, pretty much.
In the name of Jesus.
Oh, thank you, Jesus.
Dude didn't see that. He's just talking, and all of a sudden, Copeland starts yelling. It's like, oh, Jesus. He's his hype man, you see. And he's also his son-in-law. George Pearson's is married to Copeland's daughter, Terry Copeland Pearson or something.
In the name of Jesus.
Oh, thank you, Jesus.
Standing in the office.
Dude, look at him. He's got fangs. You see the fangs on this guy? Look. He got pointy little teeth. Does he sharpen those puppies? How did they get so sharp? Does he bite into things a lot that aren't supposed to be bitten into?
The office of the prophet of God. I execute judgment on you, COVID-19.
Oh, Ramash.
I execute judgment on you, Satan, you destroyer, you killer. You get out. We break your power. You get off this nation. I demand judgment on you. I demand a vaccination to come immediately.
Yeah.
Oh boy, that's a funny thing to lay down for us, isn't it? He demanded a vaccine to come immediately. It's so fascinating to look back at the things that like televangelists say that completely contradict everything that they're saying now. And you know, like when something big happens, there's near total silence from the right. Like, for example, Henry Kissinger died a while back. Remember Henry Kissinger? Nobody said a word. It was just complete dead silence because they were waiting for Donald Trump to espouse his opinion, and he chose not to. Trump didn't say anything about Kissinger, so he just kind of, they didn't have any opinion on it. These people, like Kenneth Copeland and George Pearson's and like a lot of the leaders at the top and their congregations, they all follow the trend. They just follow whoever's saying whatever, and they're loyal to whatever they're saying. They are right-wingers to the absolute core, and it is wild. He wanted a vaccine at this time. But hilariously, this one is from mid-September 2021. So this is 6 months after the clip that we just watched. 6 months later.
The time has come
Hallelujah, Lord.
for ministries, particularly traveling ministries, to have some other method of travel
Yes, sir.
other than the airlines.
That's right. Yes, sir. Agreed.
You get
Wow, dude is still defending his private jet. Really?
you get into this situation, we're not going to let you fly unless you're vaccinated. Well, to me, that's the mark of the beast.
Boy, that was quick, huh? Does he have whiplash from flipping so quickly? By the way, I noticed he's a pocket square man, too. Very nice. I'm starting to wonder if pocket squares are demonic, though. I always see them on people like Kenneth Copeland. They're followers. They follow whatever the leader is saying, and that's it. That's all there is to it. No arguments, no nothing. And they're complaining about us following, us people just obeying the government by wearing a mask. Get a grip on reality. Seriously.
Stop it. Get some help.
Absolutely nuts. I mean, since we're talking about Kenneth Copeland, though, we might as well talk about what he's up to right now with the election. He said some wild stuff. Okay, this is after the election. Check out what Kenneth Copeland said after the election.
I saw this in the spirit,
You know he's about to lie when he says that.
literally.
So it was an open vision is what he's saying. Literally saw it in the spirit. God physically took him to a place and played this thing out in front of him to visually watch. That's an honor that's only ever been bestowed upon a few people in history, according to them, Like, for example, John from John the Revelator, Revelation, and some other apostles and things.
Judgment Day. And Jesus stood there and he said, those of you that didn't vote, I put you in that nation and you didn't vote.
I mean, Trump won. Why is he doing that? I don't understand. Is he aware that Trump won? I mean, I know he's 87 years old, but is he losing his memory? Like, what's going on?
So you will.
Like, this literally just happened. Does he really not remember?
So you will hear, or you didn't pray and vote like I told you to.
And vote like I told you to. Wow. And how is God telling these people to vote? Through his prophets, of course. Kenneth Copeland. He's telling people to vote through Kenneth Copeland. That's nuts. That is a complete destruction of the barrier between church and state. It no longer exists because he's endorsing political candidates from the pulpit and trying to intertwine religion and the state inextricably. Every time that this has happened in history, things got worse. Every time the church has a bigger role in government, things are worse for the people. They have fewer rights, fewer protections. They have less freedom, less liberty, less justice, all of it. But at the end of the day, these small government conservatives, as they call themselves, that's what they want. A lot of the time, I think that Kenneth Copeland feels this way, and I know Nick Fuentes, for example, feels this way. They don't want small government. They want control. And ideally, in Nick Fuentes' mind, at the very least, and almost certainly Copeland's also, they would like to centralize power into one person's hands.
Will listen to the names of all the babies that are here and never got any life. And it'll take a while.
Wait a minute. You're telling me that they didn't get a life? So they weren't living? They weren't living beings or whatever? Interesting. In all seriousness, people who have abortions They have never been legally allowed to just go get an abortion because they feel like it beyond a certain point. I heard somebody arguing that it should be at 18 weeks, and then that's it. And Charlie Kirk was like, well, that's a lot more reasonable than, the Democrats. No, that is actually Roe v. Wade. It was 20 weeks. You can't get it past that. They make all these claims. Copeland, Charlie Kirk, and Nick Fuentes, and all these other people, they make these crazy claims about things that Democrats want. I don't have to defend it because it's fake. Nobody wants this stuff. Nobody wants post-birth abortion or whatever. Just like a fake, made-up term that doesn't exist, never existed. People are getting abortions because they really need them. They're not going out and doing this for fun. And they're only doing it within, I think, 63% are before 10 weeks or something. It's literally a nearly microscopic grouping of cells at that point. That's it. And then the rest, the 97% are before 15 weeks, I think. Past 20 weeks, according to Roe v. Wade, you could not get one. That was it. The only way to get one beyond that is because you're dying, or, the fetus is dead and they have to extract it now or something. That's the only time. Or the head is filled with water. There's no brain. It's just water in there, for example. Those things happen. Hydroencephalus, I think is what that's called. Anyway, this is very clearly just emotional propaganda, doing everything he can to get people into an emotional state so that they'll go out there and vote. By the way, Copeland, voting's over. You realize that, right? Why is he even doing this?
Take a while because there's over 65 million of them. But you are going to listen to every one of them, and you are going to be held responsible for their death.
Yes.
Absolutely obscene, disgusting, emotional propaganda. So basically what Copeland is saying is God will abandon you if you don't vote for Trump. It's like a test almost. This is not the only example of televangelist types of people, or prophets, quote unquote, claiming that voting for Trump is like a test. Johnny Enlow said the exact same thing. Listen to this one.
Even if you think you have 100% devotion to God, it's going to cost you. And this,
if you don't vote for Trump, but you're devoted every other way.
And this is a key time. Once we establish what a key time in history this is a line in the sand. This Trump test,
Trump test.
It's been clearer than ever. People I've I've been on their programs and stuff, and who's being advanced and blessed, and ministries that are advancing and blessing, and who I see.
Because you see, having more money is evidence that God loves you more than people that have less money, of course.
Who I see an increased anointing, and who are seeing more. They're seeing more favor. They're seeing more revelatory. Are people who didn't back off Trump.
They're more revelatory, i.e. they're receiving more prophecy. God is speaking to them more. The ones that went down this absolutely nutty extremist rabbit hole are getting more prophecies from God, quote unquote. Yeah. Knock me over with a feather. Color me surprised. I can't believe it. Nutty people get even nuttier when they get nutty. Just for good measure, let's end with this clip. God, what is going on with his face? I'm sorry, I can't. There's something very wrong here. I don't like talking about people's looks, but it's haunting. There's something very haunting about this.
I tested negative for COVID 5 times.
Okay, I tested negative 15 times, so I have you beat.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Another thing, Pocket Square Man. He's a Pocket Square Man. Just want to point that out again. All right, sorry. Get sidetracked by the Pocket Squares.
Now, that's the primary reason. I refuse to take it.
Man.
He's refusing to take the vaccine because he tested negative 5 times. Are you f***ing me right now?
I refuse to take it.
Man.
Yes.
I know what to do when the symptoms come.
Mm-hmm.
You can kill it with vitamin C. You didn't need to shut the nation down.
I feel obligated to say on record, no, you can't. This is wrong. How many people took his advice and got sick and spread it to others? How many people in his congregation died because of the ridiculous advice that he gave on this subject? Not zero. How many people died because of the medical advice I gave on my channel? Zero. Because I don't give medical advice. I point people to what scientists are saying is the best option. Right now, the vaccine is being recommended by scientists and the government and everything else. Go get vaccinated. See how simple that is? He is depraved. That is just disgusting, dude. Cure it with vitamin C.
But there's no money in vitamin C. You understand?
Yeah, that's right.
What? Can't you buy vitamin C off of shelves? There's plenty of money in vitamin C.
Vitamin C. You understand?
Yeah, that's right. Got it.
God, dude, there's just something very. Can you imagine him getting right up in your face like this, breathing in your right on top of you? He's just breathing in your face. You know, there's no money in vitamin C. God, and it's this beautiful mug right here with the fangs and all. I would be afraid that he was gonna take a bite out of me or something, honestly. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. Next up, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been selected to work within the Trump administration. Let's talk about some of the views he's espoused in the past. Spoiler alert, they are insane. We'll be right back. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. Robert F. Kennedy's been chosen to be involved in the Trump administration. Not exactly sure how. I think they said he's going to be like the Secretary of Health and Human Services. I don't even know. But we'll see what happens. So I want to talk about him. Some of the crazy stuff that he has said in the past. This one, I don't even know what to say about it. Just listen to what he says here. Check this out.
And we need to talk about bioweapons. The level I know a lot now about bioweapons because I've been doing a book up for the past.
Sorry, he's hard to understand, so I'll translate. He's saying, we need to talk about bioweapons. I know a lot about bioweapons because I'm writing a book about them.
2.5 years.
The past 2.5 years, been writing a book on it.
And you know, the technology that we now have to develop these microbes, we've put hundreds of millions of dollars into ethnically targeted microbes.
We've put hundreds of millions of dollars into ethnically targeted microbes. He frames things in such a way that it seems like maybe it could be believable, but it's bullshit all the way down. Does he have any evidence of this at all? I'll take anything.
The Chinese have done the same thing.
An even deeper claim. The Chinese are doing. How would you know that the Chinese are doing this? That, you know what that is? That would be bioweapons research, and that is against the Geneva Convention. That is a war crime. Whether in a state of war or not, it's internationally banned to create a bioweapon like that. So he's just pulling this right out of his ass. None of this is true. And would it even work? I don't even know that it would work to have, I don't say that it wouldn't work for anything anymore because we've seen some absolutely incredible technological advancements in our lifetime. So I don't think it's impossible necessarily, but I don't believe that we're anywhere near a technological state where we could do something like that. Like, that is very far-fetched. By the way, this came out July 15th, 2023. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. And it gets even crazier if you can believe it. Keep listening.
In fact, COVID-19, there's an argument that it is ethnically targeted. COVID-19 attacks certain races disproportionately. The races that are...
Oh my God, dude. They're targeting COVID-19. I mean, he's saying that COVID was, that the coronavirus was manufactured in a lab. That's what he's saying right now. That it didn't exist before and people created it. There have been coronaviruses in bats for a long time. I mean, I think there was like a Minute Physics video maybe years ago, like years before the pandemic, that said we should be concerned about coronaviruses in bats. I mean, it's a virus that's been around for a long time, this type of virus. There's no reason to believe that COVID was manufactured right now. Again, if we get evidence that it was, I'll change my mind on it. But he's jumping the gun here. Before he had any reason to believe that at all, he started making the claim.
Most immune to COVID-19 are because of the structure of the genetic structure of
the people that are most immune to COVID-19 because of the genetic structure
of genetic differentials among different races of the receptors.
A lot of big words there. Just say the race.
The ACE2 receptor. COVID-19 is targeted to attack Caucasians and black people. The people most immune are Ashkenazi Jews and Chinese.
He believes COVID was manufactured by Jews to kill white people, a white genocide. I mean, this is Nazi right here, veiled in big words and fancy language. This is still Nazi. How can you possibly support somebody like this? I don't get it. I mean, most people didn't, so for what that's worth. Although my sister liked him at first. I don't think she looked into him deeply enough at first, but she did like him originally when he was running as a Democrat. Anyway, insane.
But we don't know whether it's deliberately targeted that or not. But
we don't know if it deliberately targeted. I mean, that's what you're insinuating here. And also, this disparity is non-existent. This did not happen. Black communities were more susceptible to this, not because they are racially targeted or whatever, but because they're disproportionately, the community has less generational wealth and less a lower income overall, and they're working lower wage jobs, fast food and things like that, and they can't just take time off. They don't go to an office 9 to 5, and they can't pull out a laptop and do their work from home a lot of the time in these communities. They had to go in and do their jobs, even through COVID. Essential workers, if you will. That's why the black community suffered more disproportionately to everybody else during COVID. Nothing to do with ethnicity. Get a grip on reality.
That or not, but there are papers out there that show the racial and ethnic differential, the impact to that. We do know that
the papers are out there to show that the black community is suffering worse, not because of the virus, though. Oh my God.
That the Chinese are spending hundreds of millions of dollars developing ethnic bioweapons, and we are developing ethnic bioweapons. That's what all those labs in the Ukraine did.
There were no labs in the Ukraine like that. It's just repeating QAnon propaganda. And in my opinion, QAnon is an arm of Russian disinformation. I'll get there. Just keep listening.
All those labs in the Ukraine are about, they're collecting Russian DNA, they're collecting Chinese DNA, so that we can target people by...
Jesus Christ, dude, that's insane. They're collecting Chinese and Russian DNA so we can target them. Again, this is all Russian disinformation. Let me prove it. Immediately after Putin invaded Ukraine, nobody supported what was happening over there. Nobody. And if you did support it, then you kept your mouth shut. It was just like there was a unity in the country that we haven't seen in a long time. When Russia attacked Ukraine, we all stood behind Ukraine. I mean, people with no military experience were flying to Ukraine to sign up for the military. There was such unity. And during all of that, like within a week or two, like when this came out early March, so I think Putin invaded on like February 21st or something. So it was within 2 weeks. QAnoners come out and start making claims about bio labs and all this other stuff.
I'm not on Putin's side. I'm not on Zelensky's side. I'm not on Trump's side. I'm on God's side. God's side is the side of truth. It just so happens that right now, our President Trump is on the side of God. Also, believe it or not, so is Putin.
That was an absolutely wild thing to hear in that moment. QAnoners coming out there and spreading positivity about Putin. That moment, there's more.
Right before I came on here, this is what was sent to me. A Russian soldier, I even have his name, and I can't give it. I'm sorry, I can't.
Would you be surprised to find out that there was no Russian soldier? That is completely fictitious.
Just research it. I'm sure it'll start coming out.
It didn't.
Searching for bioweapons. There was him and a few of the other soldiers searching for bioweapons in central Ukraine.
Central Ukraine. So they're talking about Kyiv, like not the areas that Putin was invading, but like special ops, the people that were trying to kill Zelensky. They were searching for bioweapons in central Ukraine, huh?
Stumbled upon a child trafficking den.
There you go. Just stick everything you can in there. So we've got child trafficking and we've got bioweapons and what was the other stuff? I mean, throwing out every conspiracy theory she can possibly throw out. It's called, is this an example? Yeah, I guess this is an example of the fire hose of falsehoods, a propaganda technique invented by Putin, actually, in 2014. But I don't think that this one is exactly fire hose of falsehoods. The fire hose of falsehoods is where you come up with as many conspiracies as possible. Like with the election, you know, they stuffed ballots into the machines. The machines were hacked and, I don't know, they miscounted, they lied, they submitted a bunch of fake ones. I mean, throw out as many as you possibly can through as many networks as possible and see which ones catch on, see which ones stick. So Putin in 2014 was coming after Ukraine then too. And he started the fire hose of falsehoods by going out there and making just claim after claim after claim on a ton of different news agencies and everything else. And some of them stuck. That's what's happening with Delora O'Brien. She's hitting all of the main points. She is one of those nodes of disinformation. Wittingly? I don't know. Probably not. She's probably not communicating with Russia, I imagine. Maybe. But she's definitely a node of disinformation on their behalf. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is repeating that disinformation right now.
They're collecting Russian DNA. They're collecting Chinese DNA.
Remember, in these biolabs in Ukraine, the ones that don't exist.
So we can target people by...
So the point is, he's completely full of claimed that he was writing a book for 2.5 years, so he knew all about this. He just makes things up. You know, he was an environmental lawyer for a long time. He got a lot of wins. He did a really good job throughout his career. So I felt like choosing him wasn't the end of the world because, yes, he would do some crazy things, but he isn't completely gone. Like, there's still a shred of decency in there somewhere. But I don't believe that now. Listening to him talk about, like, bioweapons in Ukraine and all this other stuff, just repeating Russian disinformation. Not only that, but I've got a bunch of other examples of him spreading disinformation. I think that he's just off his rocker completely. I mean, his whole family has disavowed him. Yeah, I wanted to listen to this one. I was going to like clean up the video and kind of center it, but I wanted you guys to get the full effect of him having his head like way down here, just streaming like this the whole time. He's just streaming like this. All right. Now let's listen to what he has to say about AIDS.
And his belief was that the HIV epidemic was not being caused, or the AIDS epidemic was not being caused by HIV.
So he says his friend, I guess, believes that the AIDS epidemic wasn't being caused by HIV. This is bullshit. It's a lie. And he should know better.
It was being caused by toxics, particularly toxics that gay men were exposing themselves to in this kind of party lifestyle.
Oh my God, dude. This is just disgusting. This is anti-gay conspiracy that hurts people.
And particularly amyl nitrate or poppers were probably the most clear culprit in.
Okay, that's just a lie. That's a lie. If you're unfamiliar, it's a little known fact about the gay community, but there's some stuff. I'm not sure if it's prescription or I don't know where it comes from, but they're called poppers, and they basically relax your muscles and to make it more enjoyable to do things that gay people tend to do. And they also give you euphoria, I think. So anyway, gay people in a party scene have historically, you know, there's a trope or stereotype about them taking poppers or whatever. That's what he's talking about. How did he know that? I mean, I knew that because I'm in the gay community, not gay myself, but I'm very involved. I know people who are in the gay community and everything else. I'm an activist fighting for the gay community. So I know some gay of course. Why does he know this? He's not an activist in favor of the gay community. What's he talking about? How does he know so much about the gay lifestyle choice, I wonder?
Were probably the most clear culprit in the epidemic of Kaposi sarcoma.
Oh, and now he's claiming that it causes cancer.
Which was the first signal of the AIDS issue. And I don't know whether you have he believes that HIV does not cause AIDS, that it's all caused by toxics.
I don't know who he is in this scenario, but RFK Jr. is repeating these things because he wants you to believe them.
And I don't know if you adopt that kind of orthodoxy, but I know I'd love to hear your opinions on that. But also I know that's consistent with a lot of things that you talk about, that the real problem is offensive insults in the environment that are empowering viruses to do damage to us.
I'm sorry, what? Offensive insults are what?
Talk about
Wait, didn't this guy have a worm in his brain? He literally had a worm eat part of his brain, right? And didn't he get caught with like a bear in his trunk or something? Anybody remember that? Wait, what happened to him? Yes. Oh my God. Yeah. So he admits to dumping a dead bear in Central Park, solving a decade-old mystery. A dead bear shows up in Central Park, and RFK Jr. admits, oh yeah, I dumped that bear there. Where did you get a dead bear? A decade after the shocking discovery of a bear cub carcass in Manhattan's Central Park, the mystery of who dumped it there has finally been solved. And the man taking responsibility is none other than the presidential candidate, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Get help. Seriously.
Stop it. Get some help.
The problem is offensive insults in the environment that are empowering viruses to do damage to us that normally would be benign.
I have no idea what he's talking about. AIDS is caused by HIV. Just like COVID-19 is caused by the SARS-CoV-2 virus or whatever it is. Is that's the virus name, right?
If we had a healthy ecosystem inside and outside, polio wouldn't exist, and HIV wouldn't exist, and TB, and all of these other that have these kind of environmental connections.
So I'm trying to understand. Does he think that if we eat healthy, we will not get like HIV or cancer or anything? Is that what he's saying? This guy is insane. He famously, he's super anti-vax, and now he's supposedly going to be running the Department of Health or in Human Services or whatever, I think. And somebody asked him, are you going to take vaccines away? Are you going to stop people from having access to the polio vaccine, for example? And he said, I'm not taking vaccines away. I would like to believe that, but the guy dumped a dead bear in Central Park, had a worm literally eat part of his brain. Died of malnutrition. You know, my dad used to come over when I was little, and he would go like this. He'd say, do you know what this is? And I'd say, what? And he says, it's a brain sucker starving to death. I guess, the joke has become reality in RFK Jr.'s case. Didn't he cut a whale with a chainsaw? I think that's what happened. My dad used to do that too. That's funny. Old joke, I guess. Oh yeah, I was saying something. He says, I'm not going to take any of the vaccines away. I'm not convinced. I don't know that that's true. I mean, he is completely unhinged. I fear that he very well may take vaccines away and make the country less safe from disease. Do you know how ugly polio is? Real ugly. I had a teacher in high school that had polio when he was little, and his leg was literally like, it was like this big. He's a pretty big guy. And his left leg or something, I think, was like this big. It was like all bone. There's no muscle in it. He limped when he walked and everything. A lot of people with polio, they ended up in iron lungs back then. These gigantic, because it paralyzes your muscles and they atrophy and die effectively. So they have to sit in a gigantic metal sarcophagus or whatever that helps them breathe because they can't breathe adequately on their own because of polio and other diseases that we have dealt with. The last guy to have an iron lung died recently, and that's partly because of technological advancements, but also because of vaccines. When the polio vaccine came out, people were lining up down the street to get it. They were excited. And now we live in an environment where the Secretary of Health and Human Services, I assume is what he is, or whatever, is trying to get rid of this stuff. This is crazy.
They're going to have the right to compel unwanted medical interventions on us. The Nazis did that in the camps.
Why does he always bring it back to, I guess I can't speak. I always bring it back to Hitler too. Was Hitler an atheist? Check out my book, Amazon and Audible. But why is he constantly claiming that the U.S. government is trying to turn this into Nazi Germany? Why is he always doing this? What medical experiments do you think they're doing on us that they're compelling us to take part in right now? Whoever they is. The U.S. government, I guess. At this point, normally I would describe some of the medical experiments that were going on in Germany, but they're too horrific to describe. I don't want to describe it because sometimes I'm like laying there watching TV at night and that pops in my head and I can't get it out. It's like really disturbing what the Nazis did. Really disturbing. And he is literally right now complaining that masks were compulsory if you entered certain restaurants or businesses or whatever. He says that's like the experiments that Mengele performed on people.
In World War II, they tested vaccines on gypsies and Jews. And the world was so horrified after the war, we signed the Nuremberg Charter.
Yeah, so they tested vaccines. They tested all kinds of things on, inmates, Jews and Jehovah's Witnesses and stuff. But the vaccines that we have today, like for polio, the MMR vaccine or whatever, that stuff's been tested into the ground, researched upside down, backward, and forward. We know for a fact that it does way more good, like on a nearly immeasurable scale, way more good than bad. Are there even any vaccine deaths, actually? I don't think there are. Maybe a couple out of billions of vaccines total. Vaccines are so incredibly safe. And this poor fool is trying to make the country worse and claiming that vaccines just being available to people is like Germany, just being available. I'll lay this one down for you. Mengele, at one point, this one's pretty horrific, but not terrible. It's not one of his worst. He would take a gigantic needle and put it into the chest of a patient or whatever, a victim, and inject stuff right into their heart, like substances, just to see what happens, directly into their heart. Many died, some didn't, and it was just really ugly shit. That's not like wearing a mask. That's very different. I can't believe I have to say this. Wearing a mask is not like being injected with stuff like that, like right into your heart against your will, and maybe dying, maybe not.
And we all pledge when we do that, we would never again impose unwanted medical interventions on human beings without informed consent.
We have informed consent. What do you think is happening right now that people don't have informed consent on?
And yet in 2 years, all of that conviction has suddenly disappeared. And people are walking around in masks where the science has not been explained to them.
This is what I was talking about earlier. I thought he already got to this part, but I listened to this when prepping. He thinks that masks are one step toward Nazi Germany. Like, really? The horror that took place in that time and region cannot adequately be described. It is real ugly shit. And there is no comparison to masks. None.
They are doing what they're told. They are these government agencies are orchestrating obedience.
Okay, so his complaint is that people are following government instructions. They're doing what they're told. Are you just as upset that people are just following instructions when people are told to, like, exit through the fire door and leave if there's like a fire alarm or something else? Yeah, people obey instructions all the time. That doesn't mean it's bad. And you're not mandated to do this stuff. If you don't want to wear a mask, you didn't have to. I mean, you couldn't go into this store necessarily. You could order things if you wanted, but you didn't have to. Nobody was forced to wear a mask. Nobody was forced to get vaccinated during COVID. And today, nobody is forced to do any of these things. I guess there's an argument that babies are receiving this, but it's the parent's decision. They're making these choices for the kid. And the science is absolutely completely settled. I just don't understand how he got to this point, honestly.
And it is not democratic. It's not the product of democracy. It's the product of a pharmaceutical-driven biosecurity agenda.
Wait, biosecurity agenda. What does that mean? There's always a conspiracy at the bottom of it, right? Yeah, Big Pharma sucks. They are leeching money off of everybody, obviously. But you can't just pull out Big Pharma and expect everybody to believe what you're saying because you said Big Pharma. Come on.
Biosecurity agenda that will enslave the entire human race and plunge us into a dystopian nightmare.
Because of masks.
Where the apocalyptical forces of ignorance and greed will be running our lives and ruining our children.
Ruining our children. Jesus Christ. This guy needs help, seriously. Like, some of the shit that he has said and done is, I'm going to say, I'll go there, deplorable. It's deplorable. Absolutely disgusting, man. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. Next up, Nick Fuentes went viral recently for saying, "Your body, my choice." Well, he's in the find out phase of fuck around and find out. Somebody showed up to his door after he was doxed, and he pepper sprayed them. Let's talk about it. We'll be right back. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. This is Nick Fuentes here. He is a Nazi. I mean, full-blown, self-avowed Nazi. Like, he loves Hitler. Quote, unquote, I love Hitler. That's what he says. Anyway, I want to talk about him because he got himself in some hot water, got doxed. Some woman showed up to his house and he pepper sprayed her. I want to talk about the whole thing. Let me tell you why he's facing criticism at this moment, aside from the fact that he's a Nazi. After Trump won, he started a meme, "Your body, my choice. Your body, my choice." And he went out there on air and just repeated it over and over and over and talked about how great it is that Trump won and now I control women's bodies. Blah, 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 blah. You know, women did not take kindly to that, obviously. So let's listen to him and see what he has to say here. Yeah, this one is immediate. I think this is the live stream after the election. So it's like November 5th, November 6th, somewhere in there.
Feel when we control your bodies? Hey, we control your bodies. Guess what? Guys win again, okay? Men win again. And yes, we control your bodies. Hi, I'm your Republican congressman. Hi, I'm your Republican congressman. It's your body, my choice. And men, women again. Men win again. There will never, ever be a female president. Never.
Well, like I said, if it makes you feel better, all this gloating led to some serious backlash, so.
There will will never be a female president ever. It's over. Glass ceiling, dude, it's a ceiling made of bricks. You will never break it. Your stupid face keeps hitting the brick ceiling.
Well, I appreciate that he's admitting that there is a glass ceiling. I appreciate that he recognizes that there is systemic oppression of women at the very least, right? But he doesn't care, of course. He wants there to be systemic oppression and control, obviously. He met with Donald Trump a while back. If you don't remember, he and Kanye West had dinner with Trump after Kanye went on this gigantic tirade about Jews. I mean, it was crazy stuff.
We will keep you down forever. You will never control your own bodies. You will never be the president of the global empire. Never gonna happen, sweetie. Your body, our choice.
Anyway, yeah, that got him in some hot water. People did not like that. They doxed his address, and somebody showed up.
Hi. Oh my God, what are you doing?
Out of here.
Okay, so the phone seems to be in his house. How did she get that back? How did she get the phone back? Did he open it and throw it out? I don't know exactly where he is now. I heard that he was staying with his parents at this point. I'm not sure. Anyway, my address was doxed once because I reported a teacher for telling students that she doesn't agree with people that are gay or trans. She just doesn't agree with it. She thinks it's wrong, and so on and so forth. Anyway, I reported her, and they wrote a cease and desist letter, basically, the FFRF did. And it just, yeah, it went downhill from there. They doxed me on some Facebook page. I mean, a lot of people were paying attention what was going on at the time. I did not ask for any money. I asked for none. And people got my PayPal address from like my description and donated like mad to me. And I appreciated that so much. It actually helped a lot because I needed to move like immediately. And I had planned on moving. My lease was coming to an end and I was ready to go and I was packing my things and everything, but I had to move it up by like a month. And moving at all is crazy expensive, like insanely expensive. So all the donations I got, you know, it just showed how much the community cares. It was just incredible. But anyway, it was scary to have my name doxed. There's a Facebook page that I forget what it's called, Team Ashworth or something. It was a teacher's name. It had 1,800 people on this Facebook page in a town of 3,500. So effectively half of the town was on this Facebook page dedicated to doxing me and attacking me. And it was nuts. Like I would just be sitting there at my desk in my living room. Every single car that passed honked. And, you know, it's just a honk, but that's disturbing. You hearing this, you know, a car passing once every 3 or 4 minutes. Every 3 or 4 minutes, a car passes and honks their horn. They're just letting you know that they're there and they know that you are there and that they're not happy with you. I mean, it's real scary. So to get back to the point here, Nick Fuentes, his address was doxed, much like mine was. Although, you know, I was defending separation of church and state. He is just being a shithead. So slightly different situations, I suppose. His address is doxed. And I'm sure he's getting the honks too. Like that's the first thing is the honks. That's where it starts. And the phone calls, you know, they look you up and they find your phone number and everything else. I guess he came prepared with the pepper spray and chose to just pepper spray somebody. Absolutely wild. I mean, I don't think that anybody should be going up to his door anyway, in my personal opinion. They're on his private property now. So whatever happens, happens. And that is one good reason why you should not be on his property. Because, you know, you're on his turf now. Like, you are in danger more than if you were just on the street. Do not go up to his house. So anyway, yeah, this has got to be a scary experience for him, is the point. It has to be a scary experience because I know what it's like. Like, I don't justify any kind of violence or anything like that. But he struck fear in the hearts of countless people when he said that. Your body, my choice. And now he's getting a taste of that fear. So, limited sympathy, as I said. In this one, he kind of quadruples down and explains why he feels the way he feels. And it sounds like hyperbole, what he's about to say. It's not. He really feels this way.
So I am now going viral on TikTok, Twitter, Google search trends for my very funny clip on my election night stream. In a moment of exuberance and jubilation,
okay,
I excitedly declared that since Donald Trump became the president, women's bodies are now under our control. And I mean that. I said it's their body, but it is our choice. And politically, I'm obsessed with controlling women's bodies.
He's saying it like it's sarcasm, but it's actually not sarcasm. If you know anything about Nick Fuentes, you'll know that this is real. Like I said, full-blown Nazi. Like Hitler-loving Nazi. Also, I'm sure I don't need to say it, but I'm going to anyway. I think it's pretty clear that your body, my choice has like sexual undertones. Is that, I'm trying to find a polite way to say this. It has undertones of basically.
I'm going to tell them what they're allowed to do with them. It's my decision. We as males, we as men control their bodies. They have no say in the matter, and that comes to abortion as well as every other issue. Henceforth, men will be controlling what you eat, what you wear.
You know what? Let me just jump to the end of this clip so that you understand why I say this isn't sarcasm.
And this is subject to the law according to Project 2025.
That's pretty clear, right? This is not a joke.
What you eat, what you wear, whether you can have an abortion, what your hair looks like, when and whether you can cut your hair. We'll be controlling how much makeup you wear, what you do with your nails. We'll be controlling who you have sex with. We'll be controlling where you live and where you go, what time you go to bed. We're going to be controlling all of that. And this is subject to the law according to Project 2025.
There you go. This is real. He's not joking. That is what he intends. That, in his ideal world, that is what would happen. Again, Nazi, Hitler lover. Look, I feel like I have to prove that. Even though most people have probably heard of him, let me just show one clip. Fuentes went on Alex Jones with Kanye West, and then they met with Trump. I think it was after this. Yeah, I believe it was after they met with Alex Jones. They had dinner with Trump, Kanye West, and Nick Fuentes. Fuentes on the right here, and Kanye West under this black mask. I guess he didn't want what he's about to say tied to his image.
Uniforms, amazing. But I mean, just because you're in love with the design, you're a designer. Can we just kind of say, like, you like the uniforms, but that's about it?
There's a lot of things that I love about Hitler. A lot of things.
Look at this dude on the right, bobbing his head. Yeah, gotta love Hitler. I mean, what is wrong with you? I feel like, I've done so much research into the Nazis recently because I wrote a book about it. Was Hitler an Atheist? Check it out. And Amazon and Audible. OwenMorgan.com. You can get a signed copy. Anyway, Hitler was not insane. He was 100% in his right mind. It's just that his mind was poisoned with racism. Hitler was not the result of insanity. I cannot stress that enough. It was just the end result of what we have in the United States with racism. If it gets worse and worse and worse and worse, its eventual end is Nazi Germany. Now, you can say we're not in Germany right now in the 30s or whatever. In the United States, that's not what it's like. Sure, absolutely, you're right. It's not. But we are going down that road on a smaller scale right now. Now, how far down the road are you willing to go? It was pure, unadulterated racism. And Nick Fuentes seems to have realized that with Hitler. He seems to have realized that it wasn't just a nutcase doing nutcase things and hurting people just for the sake of it. He was trying to build out a perfect society. And for the record, Hitler was a big fan of American segregation laws and used them as a model in Germany. I mean, I got that from a historical, factual book. There's, this isn't like me being a left winger or something. He really liked the anti-race mixing laws that existed at the time, the racial purity or whatever. He even said something to the effect of the Americans have their racial purity goals in line, or somewhere in that vicinity. So anyway, Nick Fuentes seems to have realized all of that and is all in. He likes it. That's insane. Not to mention the fact that just check this picture out. This is Nazis in Columbus, Ohio. It's in Columbus, Ohio right now, like 3 days ago or something. I have to imagine that these people know what Hitler stood for. They must, right? Because it isn't just about being absolutely insane. It's about racial purity. I have to imagine that these people have read about it and recognize that Hitler was not insane. He just wanted racial purity. And that's what they're striving for. I mean, it is obscene to wave a swastika flag around today. You have to really know what you're doing to do something like that, it seems to me. To have the apple bag to do some like that. Absolutely wild, man. Anyway, let's talk more about Nick Fuentes. Let's get a better kind of feel for where Nick Fuentes stands on the issue of women and how they should be treated in the United States. By the way, as far as I can tell, I think this is my low stakes conspiracy. I personally believe that he's gay. He accidentally played some gay adult entertainment at the end of a live stream by mistake, I guess not realizing he was still streaming. I covered it a while back if you want to find that. It's pretty funny. He's a hard right Catholic. Doesn't believe in race mixing, doesn't believe in gay people or any of that stuff. And as far as I know, he's never had a girlfriend. He is an incel. Actually, he's a volcel. He's voluntarily celibate. Anyway, that's the kind of the perspective he's coming at these women's issues from. So buckle up. I'm sorry, one more thing. Q says, we're all the same race, human race. Yeah, there are no different races like that. Like, race is a designation that was created by people and is meaningless. Like, oh my God, what were the designations forever ago? Mongoloid, I think, was for Asians, and then what were they? Hold on. So I'm gonna have to say this word. I will blank it out if it's improper. But Caucasoid and Negroid races. Those are the original races, the things that people believed in, all the way back in I don't know, when was this? It's probably 200 years ago. I'm guessing 1870. Yeah, this is 1870 when they believed in this stuff. So anyway, the racial distinctions that we have today are equally as valid as these in Caucasoid and stuff, and others. Australozoids, or Australoids, I guess, for Australians, Australoids. And Melanochroi? I'm not even sure. Anyway, it's made up. It's fictitious. We are one race. We are the human race. Anyway, let's listen to Nick Fuentes here.
For allowing women to go out into the society and lie and bear false witness and cast spells and worship minerals and rocks.
Okay, we're allowing women to do these things. Freedom. We're giving people freedom is what he's saying. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a core value of America.
And women are out there naked and they're killing babies and they're getting to be 300 pounds and they get in your face and we can't do anything about it. You can't hit these people.
Okay.
You can't punch them. they don't arrest them. And basically they're taking over the culture on social media. I said, what happened to the good old days 1,000 years ago when people like this, instead of arguing with them or saying, hey, listen, darling, everything's okay, they would dunk them in the river or burn them alive. I said, this is the kind of thing that we need to see more of, is burning them alive a little bit more.
I thought he was going to say burning them alive a little bit. And I was like, that's kind of an on or off situation, isn't it? Somebody says, where are these naked women? Yeah, tell me where these naked women are so that I can avoid them. I'd appreciate that.
Taking women like this, and instead of, hiring a lawyer for all this money and we're going to sue him for defamation, how about we go to the constable or whatever, we go to the police officer, the soldier stationed in the village, and say, hey, we got to burn her alive.
You know, hey, this woman is worshiping rocks. She's bearing false witness. She's lying about men. And basically, we need to capture her and throw her in the lake.
You thought I was being hyperbolic when I said that he's not being sarcastic with all that stuff earlier, right? You thought he was being sarcastic, didn't you? He is deadpan right now. This is not a joke. He espouses these ideas on a regular basis. You should hear what he has to say about the black community or the Jews. Oh my God, dude. He does not shut up about hating. That's it. That's all that's in there.
Or set her on fire. I feel like that would be more appropriate. And everybody freaked out. And this was all over Twitter. And everybody said, oh, this is horrible. Is this guy for real? Yeah, I'm for real.
Yeah, there you go. He said it himself. He's for real. Here's the thing about it. We have a certain amount of freedom right now. Did you notice that he specifically singled out women as the ones that, like, worship rocks or whatever? I'm assuming he's talking about, like, crystals or, you know, whatever the hell they do with crystals and minerals and all that stuff. Do you notice that he singled out women? I mean, there are men that do that too. Why didn't he mention the men? Why didn't he just say everybody? Anybody who worships blah, 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 should be burned at the stake. No, it's women specifically. Why? Because he wants to control women. Your body, his choice. That is what he wants. He wants to punish women for all of the incels in his audience, I guess. He could very easily find a wife if he wanted. He's young and he's not like, you know, ugly. He's not, I don't know, he doesn't have like warts growing out of his face and just teeth that are sticking out and all this. He's an okay looking person. He could find a wife. Why doesn't he? I think he's gay. And I think that he's embraced the incel kind of ideology and he's trying to hurt women on their behalf. This guy is nuts. Seriously. Check this clip out. This is what he wants in his ideal kind of government. This is what he wants the United States to be.
You got to recognize the fact that this is a godless country. I hate it. It's immoral, it's wrong, it's heinous, it's evil. But this is an evil country. And this country will surprise you with how evil it is. And that's why you got to get this out of your head that there is some silent majority cavalry that's going to come out of the woods and save us at the last minute. It's not.
Yeah, that's kind of a QAnon belief. I'm assuming he's shouting out to the QAnon thing there.
When we meet the left on the battlefield and they outnumber us like 5-1, that's it. But the point is, when you look at these things like abortion, it's popular. People like abortion, hate it, but it's true. And you can thank the Jewish media for that.
Thank the Jewish media for that. For people loving abortion. Okay.
Abortion's popular. Sodomy's popular. You know.
Yeah, a ton of people like doing that. Absolutely. Again, freedoms. They're freedoms. You're inserting yourself into people's lives right now. You're taking people's freedom away because it makes you happy. People are not affecting Nick Fuentes' life by being gay or by getting an abortion or whatever. They're not affecting him. Why does he want to stop this stuff so much? I think it's because he's trying to collapse U.S. democracy into an authoritarian system. And I think he's getting there, honestly.
Being gay is popular. Being a feminist is popular. Sex out of wedlock is popular. Contraceptives are, it's all popular.
Oh, yeah, he's against contraception also, birth control. He doesn't like that. No birth control.
Popular. That's all. That's not to say it's good. That's not to say I like that. Popular means the people support it, which they do. And it sucks and it is what it is, but that's why we need dictatorship. That's unironically why we need to get rid of all that. We need to take control of the media or take control of the government and force the people to believe what we believe or force them to play by our rules and reshape the society.
Dude is gigantic. He's got a massive following. Blows me out of the water. He's huge. This is popular. These ideas are popular. He's saying that, you know, it's popular to get abortions and it's popular to have birth control and all that stuff. Yeah, but those are normal things that don't affect anybody else. His ideas do affect everybody. Absolutely nuts, man. Check this one out. This is his thoughts on black people. Buckle up.
You know, these left-wing people, in their heart of hearts, they know they're wrong because, like, they know that black people are violent. You know, I will say, hey, black people are violent. And then they'll go, I bet you wouldn't say that in front of a black person. Why? Because they're a thug that'll hit me? Like, so you know it too. Okay, so you agree with me.
He kind of goes on to repeat himself in the rest of this clip, but I've never heard anybody say that. You wouldn't say that in front of a black person, but I've heard that sentiment before. And the idea is, don't say something about somebody that you wouldn't be willing to say in front of them. It's not that they're going to hit you. It's that you're going to hurt them and you're going to feel awkward for it. Aside from that, it doesn't, like, don't say that in front of not just like black people, but anybody to the left of hunting the homeless for sport. Anybody would hear that and think you are monstrously evil with some of the things that he says. And it's, again, it's not about hitting. It's about pure, unadulterated disgust. Black people are not more, black people, there is no inherent violence to black people that is not there with other people. That's just fictitious. He's just pulling that out of thin air. And, you know, this stuff, this whole inherently evil thing or whatever, this is another Nazi belief. This is Nazi propaganda. They claimed that there were two races, well, and others, but the main two, the Aryans, which were like white people in their minds, and the Semites, which is not actually a racial group. It's a language group, but not a racial group. Anyway, the Nazis believed that if you were from the Semitic lineage or whatever, the Semitic ancestry, you were evil. Like, it doesn't matter if you were raised a Christian. It doesn't matter if you haven't, you know, had anything to do with Jewish people at all in like 2 generations. If you have the blood in you, you are evil, and there's no fixing it. That's why they wrote the Aryan paragraph originally. Again, I talk about it at length. I even quote the Aryan paragraph in my book, Was Hitler an Atheist? Give it a read. Check it out. It's right here. Really good book. And I have some really rare pictures that you won't find anywhere else. You can find them on my website too. So I guess one other place. Anyway, the Aryan paragraph was a paragraph in German law that said Jews are not allowed to be in civil service. Like, they can't be police officers, they can't be firemen, they can't whatever. They can't work for the government in any way. And the Aryan paragraph is particularly important because it defines what an Aryan is and what a non-Aryan is. Non-Aryans are anybody that has a grandparent that was Jewish or a grandparent that went to a synagogue. That is non-Aryan. Or anybody that marries a non-Aryan. You are now non-Aryan. Because I had a whole bunch of weird beliefs about, like, if you mate with somebody, then your DNA will stay attached to that person forever. And every kid that you have will have some of your DNA, even if you die and you're separate for like 20 years. Fictitious, ridiculous, nonsensical garbage. Der Stürmer was a kind of a newspaper. It was like a tabloid that was like far-right extremist, and they spread that idea at the time. Anyway, the point is, in Germany, they spread these ideas about inherent racial inferiority. People were incapable of being good because it was just in their blood. And what do we have now? And Nick Fuentes making the same argument.
Say, hey, black people are violent. And then they'll go, I bet you wouldn't say that in front of a black person. Why? Because they're a thug that'll hit me? Like,
he's making the same argument. He talks a lot about like 1350 is a Nazi talking point, a Nazi dog whistle, 1350. Black people are 13% of the population, but they commit 50% of the crimes. I don't think that's accurate. There's a lot of nuance to that, but either way, it's the result of one of two things. Either it's environmental, and we can fix it. If it's environmental, we can put money into like fixing these communities and create like a jobs program so that they're, putting money into these communities and all this other stuff. Like, there are ways to fix this. Create opportunities to go to college for people who are part of a minority and have historically been oppressed. There are ways to fix it if it's environmental. If it's not environmental, then your argument is that it's genetic, and then you're just a Nazi. If you're making an argument that race determines people's degree of violence or intelligence or whatever, you are simply a Nazi. And, as we know, he is. Pretty open about that one. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. He's a complete scumbag. Complete scumbag. And I'm having a hard time having any sympathy for him. I do, however, get why he would open the door and just pepper spray. I get that. After dealing with it myself, I understand that urge. But yeah, sympathy is like on the floor at this point. I'm negative sympathy now. I've cycled back around to enjoyment. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. That's all I've got for you. If you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, don't forget to check me out on Patreon. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. Okay, thanks for watching, guys.